Hello, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to a Wednesday stream, which is something new. Trying to stream a little bit more. Been enjoying doing it quite a lot recently. Every Sunday, want to try and just do a little bit more. So I'm trying out, see what it's like on a Wednesday. Basic plan for today is pretty much the same as it was a few days ago. Gonna try and make a game from scratch, or for as much from scratch as possible. Oh, thank you very much for joining as a member. Thank you very much. So try and make a game from scratch, or as much as scratch possible in C++ using OpenGL on Windows, which can basically see how far we can get. I've got a rough idea for a kind of a basic game, but I think in the first instance, let's just try and get something rendering, get some cubes on the screen, maybe do something with some lighting, maybe a couple of post-processing effects. We'll see how we get on. It's 10 o'clock in Finland, so thank you very much for staying up to tune in. I do appreciate it. So actually what I want to start off with now is actually the issue that we faced right at the end of the last stream, where I was like, oh, well, we've done a window, pretty easy. Easy-ish. And then I wanted to let's add a custom exception class, because we're definitely going to need it as we go through, and I quite like to use this new C++ 23 feature, stood stack trace. This does pretty much what it says on the tin, encapsulate a stack trace, and it did not work for us. It would not resolve the debug symbols, it would not resolve the file names. It could basically just say, hey, the function at this random hex address was where it threw from, which is not particularly good for anyone. It's a Wednesday, mate. That's what they say. So anyway, I spent a little bit of time. My aim is to not do anything on this off stream, but I did at least or at least if I do anything, reset it all at the end. So hopefully everyone kind of believes me that there's nothing extra on here. But I did have a little play around, and basically I figured out what the issue was in the end, and there's lots of great suggestions from people about the MSVC flags we need and embedding the PDBs and all that sort of stuff, and it turns out it's actually my very peculiar dev environment that was the culprit. So as mentioned last time, I am building this for Windows, but I'm using WSL and I'm using the Wine MSVC tool, or the Wine MSVC tool, which allows me to effectively cross-compile Windows executables on Linux. It means I get the dev environment in Linux, which I like, which is nvim and tmux, but I can still make Windows executables. And in fact, because WSL is pretty clever, I can even launch Windows executables from the command line, and it just kind of works. So the issue is, if anyone's not too familiar with how Windows kind of executors are built, the PDB file is where all the debug information is kind of embedded. So that's how the executable ties up functions to source files. So when it's in the stack trace, it should say, hey, this function named at this line through an exception, and that information, how you kind of tie up the emitted assembly instructions back to source code lines, is embedded in the PDB. And this game actually needs to know where it is. So I kind of went through a lot of this. In the end, I was just like, right, where is this looking? Right, so I ran strings, and then I grepped for PDB. Now, this is the path that's embedded into the executable. So when MSVC builds it embeds this path in here, saying here's where your PDB is. I don't have a Z. I don't have a Z drive. So I was like, this is strange. So I did a bit of debugging, and it turns out this is a Wine feature, Wine thing to do with Wine. If you go into the Wine config and go drives, it has this special Z drive which maps to the Linux drive, and this is how Wine internally kind of handles the difference between Windows paths and Linux paths, is when it sees the Z drive, like when you're running it through Wine, it will remap it to the root drive. So this should be, right, /home/Nathan/projects blah 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 blah. Now the thing is, and I think this was the bit I was kind of missing on Sunday, is I'm not running this through Wine. I'm running the compiler through Wine, but I'm not running the actual output executable through Wine. I'm running that natively. So when it runs on Windows, it's like I don't have a Z drive, and there's no Wine There's no wine there. Sad time. There's no wine to fix that up. So it doesn't really matter what the prefix is, right? Because I'm running a raw executable. Because I pulled this down to VS Code and I ran it through like normal MSVC and it all works. So I was like, this must be something I'm doing wrong. So then I spent some time, like I went into this binary and I patched this path to be a Linux path, and then that kind of worked. But I was like, that's a pain. So then I started writing a Python script to patch it. And I was like, then I could run that as a post-build step on CMake. And I was like, this is an absolute nightmare. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm wasting my time. So what I did, which is, I don't know if it's the right answer or not, but in Windows land, I just mounted the Z drive to point to WSL. So now there is a Z drive, and it does point to WSL. And that works. It still thinks it's in the Z drive, but I get all my files and paths and stuff. So that's how I fixed it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it sure does work for me, and I now don't have to spend any more time working on it. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I've never actually thought about, because the issue I have with just running MSVC directly through WSL is that I don't know if it's going to find all the library paths. I'm sure, like, because it's actually cl.exe under the hood, right? It could just work. I don't know. I've never really tried it, but there's a lot of like stuff that has to kind of go along to in Windows to kind of make it all work. And the Wine MSV project kind of makes sure that's all bundled up and works together, and uses. Like, I also upgraded my MSVC toolchain as well. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got on that. That's what I really plan on saying on that. So what we can do now is actually finish what we started, which is building out this exception class. So this now works, as in it'll get the stack trace, and what I need to do is turn this into, this should just work well, in fact it does work, because if we go to main, we can see we get the stack trace. But the thing is when I throw the exception, when I capture the stack trace, I don't want this first line, okay? Because this first line will always be here, right? And I don't want that. I want the ability for the stack trace from the exception to say here is where it was thrown from, not here is where I captured it. And there's a subtle difference, and it's one of those things where it would be annoying to me. So I think we're just gonna fix that first. I don't think it'd be too hard. So in this stack trace string function, what's nice about stack trace is that it works on iterators to a stack trace entry, which means you can use ranges. So let's have a think about this. So I should be able to return. Oh, wait. Go away, Copilot. Not for this. Pipe to. Let's ranges, and then I should be able to say what, like stud views drop 1, right? So this basically says ignore the first one from that. Oh, can you put? Oh, I did not know you could do that. If that's it, I was going to be like, oh, let's do a load of ranges, and that'll be fun. But it turns out actually, I may have not fully read the spec. Oh, look at that. I don't even have to do anything now. That was nice and easy, because I was like, oh, we can do ranges and we can drop and maybe we can manipulate it as we go along. But hey, that was easier. Yeah, so this is WSL using I'm using WSL and Wine MSVC to basically cross-compile for Linux. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's certainly what works for me. So I guess the last thing I actually really want to do then is, if we're not going to need that, is we should at least make our exception class work with stud format. So that would be, I'm going to have to look this up because I always forget the runes for this, but it's template struct std formatter, and then this will be game exception, and const expr auto pass std format pass context ctx, and this will just return std c begin. So this is how you, if you want something to work with std format, you can basically just provide a specialization of the formatter struct, and which will then the compiler will then pick up and then use for formatting your class. This first part here is actually not really needed for us. This is if you have, say, I don't know, like a special format, like if you want to pass out this bit between the curly braces and do something special with it, this pass effectively gives you access to that. But I'm yet to actually use that in anger. Format context ctx const, and then we should be able to just return std format to ctx.out, and then we can create our own format string, and to this I will do obj.what and then obj.stacktrace. Game exception. I should probably add. Where's all my right? Add the commas. Does that blend? Value outside of its lifetime. It function is not a constant expression. What have I done? What have I done wrong? First error of the evening. Yeah, there's that. Why is that not working? Thanks C++. No match errors. I could not find output to locale. Why is it? Oh yes, you're right. Sorry, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm just going to construct, just going to zero initialize a random object there. That'll do it. Yeah. Okay. Right. So hopefully now, when we go to main, rather than, we should be able to just do D3F like that. No. Get the exception. So this is going to come up a lot. This is just an alternative way of specifying the return type in C++. It's not that common, but it's something that I wanted to try out and see if I liked. And I thought, what better than a new project to give it a go? You don't have to do it. In fact, a lot of people don't like it. I'm just, pros and cons to everything, right? But I'd like to, before I can really have an opinion on something, I like to have given it a go for myself. So I thought, what better way than actually kind of force myself to use it? Yeah, I think maybe I'll just leave it up to the people who show up every week in chat to answer that question when inevitably it comes up every time. Why is it not like my formatter? What have I done? I don't really want to spend too much time doing this because I just want to get onto some of this. The C++ pass is not a member of formatter. If I typoed this somewhere, Context for auto pass formatter pass context CTX. I'm just checking my notes that I have on this. It seems pretty good, unless this can't be const. That seems strange, but. So yeah, this is all C++23. I am very confused as to why this doesn't work. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's not really the only. Does this have to? Do I need a const ref to that? I suppose I could actually look at the error message. Pass is not a member of formatter. Violating context, pass being compiled. Function string view iterator pass. Okay, fine. Let's just. Oh, do I need to? I wonder if I need to do that. I just expect that to just work with println though, like, because it just uses it under the hood. Yeah, same thing. Fail was caused by the C usage of yeah, I think requires is. I think concepts is a brilliant addition. Like C++20 was a massive game changer. Like it introduced like 4 big new concepts. Well, concepts being one of them, but 4 big new things to the language: ranges, concepts, coroutines, and modules. And I like 3 of the 4 of those because I've just not really used modules yet. I bloody love coroutines though. Again, coroutines is typical C++, like typical C++ style. It's incredibly verbose and hard to use, and not really a lot of support kind of out the box for it. But when you kind of get your head around it and use it, it's pretty cool. I do want to do a live stream on coroutines. I think it might be fun to build a little HTTP, like not HTTP, sorry, a little TCP web server with it. I'm gonna not give up on this, but temporarily say no in a minute because it's not really progressing me where I wanted to. Let's get them both up on the screen at the same time. Let me just try. I wonder if this has to be like const extra or something. Let's just. Okay, no, I've fundamentally got something wrong somewhere. The type of game I'm going to work on is something simple, maybe like a little 2D, like a little 3D puzzle game or something. It's nothing. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it's definitely going to be fun to kind of build the tech out for it. Terminal split to Vim take up too much screen space. I don't understand the question, I'm afraid. Hopefully everyone can see the screen, right? What have I? Oh, I think I know. I've got a horrible feeling I know what this is, which is going to be really upsetting if it's true. No member named pass instead formatter. It's definitely. Unless it doesn't have to be const extra, but I thought it did. There was in I remember doing this before. There was a bug in MSVC where something to do with formatting didn't work, but I have upgraded to the latest compiler, which I assume would have fixed this. But it definitely doesn't like this, right? Let's just. All right, I'm just gonna. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm kind of curious why it doesn't work now. Okay, so. Yeah, that's fine. That's right. Okay, so can I do dot what? I can. So it just doesn't like it when I have calls a deleted constructor. Am I missing an include for formatter? Maybe Wednesdays will just be miserable bug fix Wednesdays. No, it's definitely in formatter. Still formatter. Structure. Context explorer. Pass context. Format pass context. Does need to be pointed? No, you want to capture exceptions by reference. You definitely don't want to copy. I don't even know if you can copy them by pointer, and you don't want to copy them by value either. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like printing an exception is something that should just work. The fact that we kind of have to go through all these these hoops is a kind of a testament to the fun of the language. The fact that all this is kind of like every single language, every modern language under the sun will give you an exception with a stack trace that you can just print for free. But I'm now 2 streams in and I still can't do it myself. It's quite upsetting. I cannot see where I'm gone wrong, okay? And that's kind of upsetting. There is... Oh, no. Oh dear. Oh dear. I hope someone has been screaming silently into the void at how stupid I've been. Well, there's definitely a problem with it. Oh no, I've taken off the context for it, right? Putting it in the CP file, not the header file. It's in a different translation unit. Obviously, it was never going to find it. Obviously, that's the thing. The compiler will tell you that it can't find a pass method. Like, the compiler was not wrong. It's like, no, mate. No pass method here. And you know what? It was not wrong. Well, now that I've made myself look like an absolute Burke in front of 200 people, which was exactly my goal for today, we can continue. Okay, fine. Nailed it. Absolutely crushed it. Okay, right. So now I'm going to delete all this code because I don't want it anymore. But at least we have the exception. And what I'm going to do is move our game loop into here. And now we can start the window, get it running, catch any exceptions, and I guess Pokemon got to catch them all at the end. If something goes really wrong, we'll be like stood unknown exception. Yeah, so the problem there was that I put it all in the CP file, and CP files are analogous to what the compiler calls a translation unit, so they will get compiled individually, and by design they should all be independent, and they produce object files, and then the linker comes along and like smashes them all together at high speed, and that's how you get your executable at a super high level of how a compiler works. And I'd put it in the CP file, whereas you should put it in the header file, because when you put stuff in the header file, that's how you give other translation units like visibility into what is available. You declare it but don't define it effectively, but templates, because templates are slightly different anyway. Anyway, that was fun. What I do want to do is actually I do want to have one last utility before we actually get on with this. I want to have a better way, because effectively what we're going to end up writing quite a lot of time is sorry, I can't type and think at the same time. What we're going to end up with a lot of the time is basically like, if predicate is false, throw an exception. So I just want to kind of wrap that up into a little method that we can kind of easily reuse. I think it'll just make the code a lot nicer and easier to use. Nice. I think learning how a compiler works is actually really useful, especially in C++, because like the compiler is in stages. You've got the tokenizer, you've got the lexer, the parser, the actual compiler bit, the linker, etc. It also starts off with the preprocessor in C++, all that gubbins. C++ will give you errors at each individual one of those stages, and kind of having a rough understanding of how it works under the hood will kind of hopefully help you potentially debug things a little bit easier. Right. So I want something like auto ensure bool predicate void. I'm going to build this out bit by bit because I'm not entirely sure what I want the interface to be yet. That is correct. I'm going to leave it here because I suspect, I'll put it in line now just to silence that warning, but I suspect I'm going to turn this into a template when I actually think about it. Exception.h, and then basically if not, wait a minute, if not predicate, throw exception, right? It's going to be like the high level gist of it, but the thing is, like, I want to supply some sort of meaningful message here, and actually want to be able to format it along the way. So what I'm going to do is go going to get format out again, see if we can get it right this time. Let's see, template class args, and then I think I can do it with string view. So then we're going to have stud string view message, and then args, perfect forward reference args. So this will allow us to so why not assert? One, I don't want to cause a name clash with anything else in the standard, because assert is a macro and it's not namespaced, I believe. But also because it's fundamentally different, because asserts in like most people's expectation of an assert is that it's stripped out during release builds, whereas I want ensure to always be there even in release builds. Like, this is the thing that will always be there. What I might add later is like expect, and this will be for like validating preconditions and postconditions and stuff that you expect to always be true, but it's nice to catch in debug builds but get stripped out. But for this, ensure for me is like ensure this is predicate is true or throw an exception. So yeah, I mean, we could do a Tetris clone one day. We'll see how it goes. Like maybe that's what we'll end up with here. Like, I don't know. I really have like very little idea of where it's going to go. Like I said, I'm 2 streams in and we've not even touched OpenGL yet, despite the promise of it. So we'll see where we get to. So exception. Now I need to do stud format, vformat message, and then it's something like stud format args. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what it is. Make format args, obviously. Make format args. Stud forward args. ... Okay, I think that's right. I'm surprised how often I misspell include. Like, it's kind of why, great question, comes up a lot. Why exceptions rather than error codes? For me, I strongly believe that C++ as a language doesn't make sense without exceptions. Like, it is part of the language, so it should be considered as a valid form of like error detection, like error handling. For me, like, the point of an exception is you've gotten to a point where something has gone wrong, like either the you cannot meet the post conditions of the function. So you're executing some code, you've set like this function will do X, and somewhere in the body of that function you're like, I can no longer do X. You have to communicate that as an error. For me, if I cannot recover from it in that point, then I should let someone else who potentially has the chance of handling it have a go, which for me means throwing an exception, right? That'll bubble up to the point where someone can catch it and then do something meaningful with it. The problem with like return error codes is that unless the caller is immediately the one who can handle it, then you kind of have to tramp that error code like all the way up and down, all the way up the stack, whereas exceptions just get that for you. There's also other reasons as well, like how do you communicate an error from a constructor? Like, the exceptions is the only way. Obviously people will say, well, you can just make the constructor private and then have like a static factory method, and then it's like, okay, fine, but then what was if that needs to be in a unique pointer? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, exception, like, you end up have to do quite a lot of work to get around the fact to get you what exceptions just gives you. That's my view on it. I think they are, like, in the majority of the time, the correct way of communicating errors in C++. But that it's, at the end of the day, like, if you've written some code and it delivers value to someone and it uses return codes, then it's not necessarily wrong. For me, if I'm going to write the code, I'm going to use exceptions. That's kind of my view on it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't use like option. That doesn't mean that expected and optional aren't useful. Like, optional, I think, is one of the best, introduced in C++ 17 is one of the best additions to the language. It's like a vocabulary type to say that something may or may not be there. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I will return stood optionals from a function if it's not a failure for the function to not return a value, and it kind of then boils down to the semantics. If that makes sense. So, like, the canonical example, that's not the canonical, like the I guess in my canon, the example I always give is, if I have a function that is supposed to read a file from the file system, right? File systems are inherently racy and complex and way outside of your control as a programmer. You might go to read a file and that file might not be there anymore. And to me, that's not an error. That's just, I failed, I couldn't read the file because it's no longer there. So I would return an optional string or data buffer or whatever. That seems fine, right? It's up to the caller then to decide if that is like an actual error that needs to be propagated up. You just asked me to try and read a file, and I said, the file wasn't there. Now, contrast that with, say, a function that loads a config from a file. Now, your app probably doesn't make any sense if it can't load that config. So that is an error, and that should throw, because it's somewhere else in the app. They'll be like, right, we'll try with an alternative config, or we'll try with a default config, or we'll display an error to the user. So internally, that load config might use that, read file function, which returns an optional, sees that it's not there and goes, right, now I need to throw an exception. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. That's the example I normally use for like how I differentiate when I would use optional over exception. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit now. Okay, right. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to go back to our handy dandy window class, and now I'm going to include error.h, and now we can go through and basically check. Wherever we would have done this, we should now be able to say something like, nope, I've already got myself wrong, ensure register class A of my WC, ensure that doesn't equal 0. I've got to switch the predicate now, and then it'll be like fail to register class And I think that is easier to digest. Let's just check that blends. Okay, right. So here's our window. Look at it. What a great game. One of the best games of all time. In fact, it does recognize key presses. Ho ho ho. But if we were to, say, force this to fail, I don't know, make that equal that. Nope. Make that equal that. Let's just check we get a nice error handling and an exception. Just check that we're... Okay, fine, yeah. Ah, interesting. It's because it's from error. Okay, fine. So this actually needs a... What is the type? Stack trace. I'm glad I knew about the... I'm glad someone taught me about the constructor to skip the entries. That is cool. Current... What do they call it? Size type. Doesn't help me. What's this? However, it's not going to be. It's absolutely not going to be more than uint32, is it? If your stack trace is more than a uint max in size, I think you've got bigger problems. So I'll make that skip equal 1. So now what I can do is I can go into the exception class. And I can make this equal stood uint 32t skip. Go down to 1. Put the skip in there. Don't need format in here because, as we learned earlier, it doesn't go in the CP file. Stdint, always include your headers. Oh, I've already got it included. And now, if I go back to error in my exception class here, I can do... Oh my god, so many brackets. 2. It's a bit of a magic number, but helps if I build it first. Source exception, syntax error, line 14. Wait, that should be a U for us. That was definitely not the fact that the U was missing. That's 100% not the reason. I must have just not saved it. Boom, there you go, nailed it. Right, okay. Failed to register class, and then we got the stack trace. Okay, right, well now that we can report errors, we should go write some code that is almost certainly going to generate some errors. Yeah, I agree. SDL. Like, if you wanted to do OpenGL, if you wanted to learn OpenGL, then don't learn all this windowing gubbins. Like, just go get SDL or SFML or GLFW or some other 3 or 4 letter acronymed project. But I just think it's kind of fun to do it. Like, I've gone through all this pain before in a previous project, and I think it's kind of fun to kind of re-go over some of that and, like, you know, learn from some of my mistakes and try and, you know, build some slightly better code with it as well. Okay, right. When I'm trying to do everything on stream, which does mean refactors you do have to put up with me doing slightly. So let's... Can I write a macro to do this? But there's literally only one to do, so it's not too bad. Not too bad. Right. Ensure doesn't equal 0. Bring that up there, bring that over there, drop that, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, did I revert the predicate? I did not. Oh, com. Someone's mentioned com. The next video is going to involve some com. I broke the back of the technical content last night, which is good, so I want to kind of do a bit more like gold plating on it and stuff. But Yeah, I could trim the other end. I'm really not that fussed. I think at this point, as long as you've got the top bit, like everything else is kind of, I'm just gold plating at that point, and I'm just putting off doing the actual bit I need to do. But yeah, it's a good point. But yeah, next video soon-ish. I don't know, maybe towards the end of the month. It's going to involve some com. Right. Okay. Okay. So, now that I've been streaming for 45 minutes, not actually done anything I wanted to do, let's have a look. So the thing with OpenGL on Windows is that Windows only gives you access to, like, I think up to version 1.2, and seeing as it's on version 4.6, it only gives you access, like, out of the box to some really old school OpenGL that, you know, no one wants to use and we don't want to use, because the point is, like, your graphics card vendor should be providing you with the OpenGL library, like the implementation. OpenGL is just a spec, right? And then all your graphics card vendors implement it. So my NVIDIA card will have an OpenGL driver somewhere that I can kind of, or implementation that I can use, and then that will do whatever internal horror it needs to do to actually drive the hardware. Someone said dummy context. Someone knows where this is going. So basically what that kind of means is that Windows kind of leaves you a little bit high and dry. You have to go and resolve all the all the OpenGL functions yourself. You have to go and literally go and find their addresses, and that's fun, right? So if you go to the OpenGL like Kronos site, even this wiki page even tells you how to do it. Like, it's important. Loading OpenGL functions is an important task for initializing OpenGL after creating the context. You are strongly advised to use the loading library. We will not be using that. We will go against the strong advice and just go through the manual process because. I don't know. I think it's fun. So the function of interest here is you have to use. There's these special so all the Let's take a step back. OpenGL is a C API. C doesn't have namespaces like C++. So to prevent any clashes, the common practice in C is to prepend or prefix all of your function names with the name of the library. So all the OpenGL functions start off with GL. There's some special Windows ones which are WGL, and this is, you have to use these special Windows ones to correctly set up the OpenGL context and resolve the function. So we're going to be using WGL get proc address. Here's some example code of how to do it, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you still have to go and find and get to the WGL functions. WGL, and so you've got GLX, which is like the Linux sort of semi-equivalent, I guess. To query WGL extensions, you must first create an OpenGL context. So in order to create an OpenGL context, I need the WGL extensions, but in order to resolve the WGL extensions, I also need an OpenGL context. So there's kind of a catch-22 here, and indeed, they do agree that this seems backwards, but it be what it be. So what we have to do is effectively create a dummy window and kind of set that up enough so that we can resolve these WGL functions, and then we can go and start resolving some of the OpenGL stuff. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I'm just OpenGL is like infinitely easier than Vulkan. I've played around with Vulkan, and it's just so complex. I think you've got to be a real expert in graphics rendering to kind of make the most out of it. I'm convinced that any Vulkan I would write would actually be less efficient than the equivalent OpenGL because I just don't have the deep technical knowledge to get the most out of it. Yeah, we're doing a chicken or an egg. I mean, I think we're going to have to end up doing both, really. I think it's the only way we're ready to do this. Okay, fine. So in the constructor, we're going to create our window. That's absolutely great. That's fine. That's good. We like that. Then we're going to want to basically resolve the WGL functions, and then after that, we're going to want to basically init OpenGL. And then after that, in theory, we should have enough to kind of maybe do some graphic stuff today. We'll keep going as far as we can get to today. At least we need to start doing this. The other thing, I guess, is like the function definitions. So let me find So Kronos gives you if it loads, the header files for all the OpenGL functions and indeed the WGL functions as well. Hello from Scotland. I guess I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well as well. Again, I think this question is going to come up a lot. It's like, why not use something else? And the whole point of this is to not use something else. So these are WGL functions. So we should be able to see like WGL get proc. WGL proc. I can't remember what it's called now. Oh no, that would be the Windows function. So it must be like extension string ARB. That's it. So here we can see the WGL functions that we also need to resolve. I'll wait for this to load as well. But they all have, I'll go into this a little bit in a minute, but basically these header functions don't define, like, they define the function signature, but they don't do anything to resolve them first. You still have to resolve them, you still have to go and find the addresses of them, but they basically give you the definitions. Well, they also, in addition to defining like just the function prototype, they also give you this I say handy, it's a function pointer type def C misery thing, but they basically give you this PF pointer to function, the name of the function, and then the args, and then proc. And what this is a function pointer which effectively allows you to create. It gives you a type that you can basically declare, and it will define this function, and it will basically create you a function pointer, which will be 8 bytes on a modern operating system. So it will give you somewhere you can basically declare this and give you somewhere to stuff the address once you've resolved it. Of course, then we have to deal with the whole problem of the one definition rule and a whole other crap like that. So I think it's easy if we just start writing. Oh, we are like, we're not even at 1% yet. Like, we are miles away. Like, we haven't even done any OpenGL yet. So let's make for the few third-party things we're going to use. We'll create third-party directory. Again, I don't expect too much to be in here, but we'll see how it goes. This is taking a while to load. Maybe I should have pre-downloaded these. It's a little bit upsetting. Don't have a double loop in game running and main. Game running is a loop that just pumps events until there's none left. I'll show you in a second. So it's not an infinite loop, but it is the message loop. Oh, someone pointed out a mistake. Actually, I must in one of the comments, which I've been meaning to fix. This here should be invalid for a default constructed auto release object. It will still technically work because the detour is null pointer, so this will never accidentally try and delete something that doesn't exist. But for completeness, this should be invalid. So thank you, whoever pointed that out. I missed that. In window, this will just keep pumping messages until there's none left, and then the infinite loop in main just keeps going until this returns false, and then false is G running, and this is just a static. This is just a flag at the top, and this is only set when the window receives the close command. So when you click the X in the top right hand corner, that will send a wum close message to the window. I pick that up, I set the boolean, and then I can break out the game. I was tempted to do bindless textures, but I think I'm just going to keep it simple and just do it normal. We might do DSA. I highly doubt we'll do ASDO, but we'll see how it goes. Like, there's lots of room for improvement. I just want to get something rendering, and then we can kind of maybe think about adding some more fun stuff on top of that. So yeah. Okay, right. So let's resolve. So I've got an anonymous namespace at the top already, which is nice. So auto. Resolve WGL functions void format that. Okay, so this is going to be it's going to be kind of similar to what we did last time. We're going to create auto WC equals. Something else I want to try as well is always using auto something equals, just because I think it is more consistent with the variable declaration. So I'm going to try that as well. So let's see what we want. We want the Lippenfun wind proc to be def wind proc A, I guess. It shouldn't actually matter. And then I want the, what else do we need? The Lupus's class name. We'll just make that equal to dummy window. And then I don't know if the style actually makes a difference for the dummy window, but previously I have set it. So v redraw, and then all that with CS. I think actually you need this because I think it needs to have its own DC. I think it needs to have its own drawing context. I think. And then what am I missing? I need the instance, but we've already previously calculated that. So what I'll do is just pass that in H instance, right. Then we can do Haim. Yeah, there does need to be an order for that. I'll fix it when the compiler tells me I've got it wrong. Glad someone's there answering that question. Thank you. Game, ensure. So I need to register class A at WC, which that doesn't equal 0. And then could not register dummy window row. And then I can do auto dummy window equals game auto release wind create window XA, then 0 WC Lupus's class name, WC Lupus's class name again, I think, 0, and then CW, just use the defaults for everything because I don't care about where it is or what size it is. I actually do not care at all. And then as it's Windows, a few more zeros, and then wc.h instance, and then 0, and then that will be destroy window, and then you can call PostScript message from WM destroy and check the message for WM quick to break the loop. Sure, yeah, there's Windows and C++. There's a million ways of doing anything. That's a good suggestion. Might refactor it later. I just wanted to last stream. I just wanted to get something going, and I'm happy for people to shout out like ways my code is terrible and we can make it better. Hang on. I can't. Oh, I'm not signed in. Hang on. Just in something someone said. Let me just find it. Here we go. Right. For anyone who wants my NeoVim setup here, and I guess I better type it over here as well. Cool. Yeah, no worries. You let me know how it goes. I mean, it's not mine. It's Kickstart. It's like one that's already pre-made as a good starting point. I've made very few modifications to it, but it works for me. Okay, so we're going to create a window, and then because this is auto-release, this means at the end of the scope it will destroy it, which is fine because we literally just need a dummy window just to be able to kind of get the next few bits. So then we're going to want auto DC, which is a draw context. This gives you a handle to allows you to actually draw to a window. Auto-release. I think it's HDC, if I'm not mistaken. And this will be get DC for the dummy window, and then for funsies, the release DC method doesn't just take the DC. I believe you also have to pass the window back into it, which is great. So for here, we'll have to define a lambda which also captures the dummy window. Auto DC release the DC dummy window DC, and that should work because although this is a non-copyable type, we will capture it by reference, and then it's got an internal cast operator, which should just mean it automatically, the compiler just pulls out the correct internal type for us. How many codes and braces do I need? One thing I do want to add while we're here is in how do I get ClangD to work with Kickstart? I had issues getting it plus CMake to get all the appropriate project files. Kickstart, I found it just worked for me, like literally out of the box, which is why I went for Kickstart, because I have had issues getting ClangD work with, like, I used to just use Vim and I had no end of trouble getting ClangD work with it, and for Kickstart it just worked, which is why I sort of went with that. What I want is template class T class args. I think that's what I want. And then I want to do not bool predicate, but if I have a auto release T obj then I basically want to be able to just ensure that the auto release object is holding something. So I think I'll need explicit bool operator operator bool const return which doesn't equal invalid. And now I should be able to do ensure bang bang obj message stood forward args args. I think that'll work. If not, I'll fix it. So this will come up again a lot. Is so auto release is a class which has unique ownership over some sort of handle. So almost certainly some sort of integral type. The reason for not using unique pointer is because unique pointer models a pointer and handles are not pointers. So I don't want, for instance, the operator arrow, and I want to be able to specify a custom invalid value, because null pointer, which is the invalid value for a unique pointer, might not translate to whatever my handle is. For instance, if I have a socket like a BSD socket, 0 is a valid file, is a file descriptor. 0 is a valid file descriptor, and -1 would need to be the invalid value. So this kind of just gives me that flexibility. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, it's a good question. Okay, fine. I think that's right. So basically what this does is I can't pass auto release directly to ensure and get it to pick up the bool, because this will just cause an infinite loop. But by using the exclamation mark, you negate it, which means it will go and check if it has a Boolean operator, which it does. But I don't want to pass it if it's false. So by doing this is a little trick where you can basically coerce it to be a Boolean value, but still maintain the Boolean value. We'll see if that works. Almost certainly won't. Window. Right, okay, fine. So now, sorry, I should be able to then do game ensure dummy window could not create dummy window, and then game ensure DC could not get dummy DC. Just going to see if this blends, because we've written quite a lot of code, and because it's C++, it means it almost certainly doesn't work. Oh, have I got to... error. I need another template argument, don't I? T. Can I not get it to deduce that? I don't think it's gonna. That's gonna be really annoying. I think it means I'm gonna have to specify that every time I make it. That's really annoying. I don't know. Maybe it can deduce it. Must appear in the order of class. Okay, fine. So now this is what someone else was saying earlier, which you are absolutely correct. In C, when you use the designated initializers, they don't have to be in any particular order, but in C++, they must be in the order that they are defined. So this was complaining about style in H instance, but I could just check the... that's not going to pop up the definition for me. Yeah, okay, fine. I think style... In fact, actually, I've already done this. I could just check style, Lupen von Mundproc, her instance. Okay. We're getting there. It certainly builds. The problem with doing Vulkan is that it is just so much typing. It's hundreds and hundreds of lines to kind of even get to like a triangle. And I'm not an expert in like rendering technology. I don't like all the synchronization and putting in the semaphores and the fences in the right place and kind of marshalling everything. It's just so much work for what I want to make is just a simple game. It's just, I think we would spend so much time trying to debug weird Vulkan errors. I've done a mini Vulkan renderer before, like a super basic one. And it was kind of fun, but very, very like laborious. And I think this is just more fun to do on stream. I just think we'll make more progress. And I'm not looking to make like a bleeding edge, high end, like rendering, like AAA photorealistic game. So, I think for what I want to do, it's good enough. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But like, even if you use like, was it approaching zero driver overhead and ASDO, and you can use like compute shaders to calculate, your visibility and actually build up your command list, you can kind of do a lot of that stuff in OpenGL. Where was I? So we got a dummy window. Now we need to do the pixel format descriptor. Nope, that's not the right one. Auto PFD equals pixel format descriptor, and this has a whole host of stuff in it. Size of pixel format descriptor, classic CAPI. Like, better tell me how big I am. Dot version is 1. Dot Thank you very much for gifting a membership. That's very kind of you. So this is just setting up the pixel format, like various bits and pieces about how the OpenGL context is going to behave. Basically, like the depth of the color bits, the depth of how many bits the color buffer is going to take, how many bits the depth buffer is going to take, that kind of thing. In Vulkan, you kind of specify this in a totally separate way, and you can kind of do it in a lot more. Like, I think you do it in the pipeline object, whereas for this, it's just like, it's just forms part of the draw context. So this is PFD type. So my pixels are going to be RGBA, pretty standard, nothing too controversial. So the DW flags is interesting because I want to draw to the window. I want to support OpenGL, and I want double buffering. So what you can kind of see here is like, yes, I'm drawing to the window, but here's where I actually I'm starting to tell the drawing context, which backs the windows I'm going to be using OpenGL. This is kind of how you set that up. And I want double buffering. We'll kind of get into double buffering a bit later, but it's a way of preventing screen tearing and trying to draw to a window that you're also trying to render. I've also played around with DirectX 12, which I guess is kind of the Microsoft equivalent of Vulkan. Again, super verbose, like loads of typing. 32-bit colors, please. My alpha bits, 8 bits for the alpha. I'm not doing anything clever with like funky bit packing or anything like that. The I layer type is the PFD main plane. I can never remember precisely what that does, but I know it's important. C depth bits 24. Again, we can tweak that later if we need. And I'm not actually planning on using. We might need a stencil buffer, but we'll make sure that it's we've got some bits for it if we need it. Will be initialized after field C red bits. Okay, fine. So now we can combine all this in. So this is just a descriptor. This Vulkan does this all the time. You basically describe the thing you want with a struct, and you stuff that into a function and actually get an object out for it. So the actual pixel format will be choose pixel format, and then for this will be our DC and our PFD. Now, does choose pixel format return anything? Do I need to check that? Int, okay, and the return function fails, the return value is 0. So ensure pixel format does not equal 0. Failed to choose a pixel format. I think that will only fail if like I've picked a set of options that just Windows just cannot handle. Yeah, we're going to get onto. We'll do some maths at some point. We'll build out a vector class and a matrix class and imagine a quaternion class, or at least a basic thing. My plan is to just write the bare minimum code we need to make the game, and not just add like loads and loads of stuff for the sake of adding it. Okay, and now we can do if set pixel format. Now I've got this pixel format on the DC. I really wish it would stop auto-completing all these. I need to figure out how to switch that off. Pixel format. I think you need to pass the PFD in again, and if that equals... So pixel format, return type. So this is interesting. This actually says return true and false, whereas when API is like, it's a bool and it'll be 0 or not 0. So I appreciate this. I prefer the explicit like type or type define as I'm sure it actually is. Wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I doing if? Ensure separate format equals to true, failed to set pixel format. Because I'm in an anonymous namespace, I have to use my actual namespace. Yeah, it's not going to be a lot of WinAPI stuff other than just what gets going. I can't imagine I'm going to need lots of it. I nearly ended up writing a custom stack exception walker thing because I couldn't get stack trace to work, but luckily we managed to fix that. Okay, fine. I think we're nearly there. So I want auto context equals game auto release. What I need to do is I need to call this function WGL create context. So this creates a new OpenGL rendering context, which is suitable for drawing on the device referenced by HTC. So this is kind of like the final part of it. You give it the HTC, and this does whatever internal horror it needs to do to make OpenGL work. So this returns a huglurk, and that will be WGL create context DC, and then at the end of this, because once we've got the context, we can then resolve the WGL functions. WGL delete context. I do have some notes on this, by the way. I'm not just reading all this off from memory. I just want to make that clear. I'm just double checking what I need to do, and then from there we need to game oh my goodness, what am I doing? Context. Ensure we got the context. Failed to create WGL context. And then we can do ensure. Oh my goodness. Ensure WGL make current. So this will then kind of finish off what we need to do. True. Could not make current context. Then from here, what we can do is actually resolve the remaining WGL functions that we need to, and then we can unbind this here. Could not unbind. Yeah, so does WGL make current return true or failure? That's a good point. My notes say it does, but are you asking because you know? Yeah, it does. True, otherwise false. Yeah. By the way, I'm very deliberately not making a game engine. Like this is just a bare minimum code needed to make a game, and then if I can extract that later into an engine, that'd be great. DW flags is just that is just a field in this struct that is needed to call this function and then this function. It basically just says the flags is just some info. I mean, you can go and look this up on the Win32 docs, right? It just kind of tells Windows what I kind of want out of what I want out of this window, and that. So I want to be able to draw to it. I want to support OpenGL, and I want to use double buffering. Right, I'm gonna, before we actually resolve any WGL functions, I'm just gonna see if this actually blends, because in theory this should just work. Like it should create this dummy window and then kind of gonna have to call it first. Resolve WGL functions. WC each instance. Let's fix these errors first, and then we'll see where we get to. I'm just going to look it up. I'm just going to look it up. Pixel format descriptor. So when I said you can go and look it up, you can. That's what I just did. Those flags. Look at that. Right, so size, version, DW flags is way at the top. Pixel type, color bits, red bits, alpha bits, depth bits, stencil bits. Where's the eye layer type? Eye layer type is actually at the bottom. It's like ClangD is like, oh, you missed all these fields, but I'm pretty sure you don't need to. I'm sure they get 0 initialized. Linker error. So again, this is kind of one of the reasons it's useful to be able to have an understanding of how the compiler works. Like, as soon as I see link and linker error, it means that I've used a function which doesn't exist. The header file is there, but I've not linked against it. I suspect, it cannot resolve the WGL functions. That is fine. What you normally do to resolve this is you go and look one of them up. Make current. You go down to the bottom, and it'll say which library it's in, and then you go and find the rune. Ooh, I think I literally just minimized. And we're back. Apologies, I mashed the wrong key and I lost everything. How embarrassing. Right. Apologies, I don't know what I hit, but everything disappeared. What you do is you then go and you do the Windows trick for linking libraries in source code, because I can't bother to go and edit the link flags, and then you do pragma comment lib OpenGL32.lib. And there you go, disappeared. So yeah, that's a pro tip. If you finally find that you've got a load of linker errors specifically from stuff supplied by Windows, you just go to the doc page for it, go and find the library, the .lib, and then you can basically just use pragma comment lib, and it will tell the compiler to make sure that that information must then get passed on to the linker. Yeah, I think part of the fun for this is also building abstractions. Like I want to build like an abstraction over I want to resolve OpenGL functions, build an abstraction over OpenGL, which kind of is a very much like a reduced API of OpenGL. You know, because OpenGL's got loads and loads of stuff. Like let's just simplify that, build some then like engine-esque primitives, like I don't know, a mesh or an entity or a light, and a renderer, and then kind of build all those up into a game. So we're going to kind of go up several layers. I don't know, I find this thing fun, and hopefully people also find it enjoyable. Okay, right, so now that we've appeased the linker, I mean, nailed it. Just works, right? No exceptions, no nothing. Absolutely, absolutely crushed it. We're going to use when I actually get around to putting in the version, we're going to use 4.6. Because I want to maybe use DSA. Okay, right, so now, right, we're getting there. So what I should be able to do now is include I might need to third party OpenGL. Yeah, okay, fine. WLGLX.h, because these are the only WGL functions Windows gives you. You still have to then go and resolve the rest of them. Again, probably because it's like making sure it's compatible with libraries and stuff like that. And now I've got to remember how to write drive cmake, target link, target cmake set target header include. Always forget it. Target include directories. There we go. Target include directories. Game. It probably should be private, but I'm not that fussed. Cmake. I think it's project dir to get the root project, right? That just runs it. Hang on. It's just what have I got in third party? OpenGL WGLX.h. Oh, hang on, I think I've got one too many G's. WGLEXT.h. WGLEXT.h. Why is that? What have I done wrong? Is it? Cmake root directory. Cmake source dir? No, I want the directory where the cmake project source dir. That might be it. And then hash include GL. You still need the standard Windows GL header file because it has a lot of the hash defines and stuff and some of the really, really early functions. Okay, fine. What I will do is I will abstract away into like our own custom OpenGL header file that any code that wants to use OpenGL, you just include that once and it handles all the horror for this, but for Windows, we're just going to get going. I guess in case no one's asked, but I'll say anyway, I tend to group my headers in terms of standard library, platform, third-party, project. I kind of feel like it's less to more specific, I guess, but that's just the way I always structure them. The problem with, great question, I get this a lot, is like, is there going to be a Hacking Diablo Part 2? The problem with like the way YouTube is set up is Part 2 videos don't tend to do as well, because if I upload a video with the title Hacking Diablo Part 2, anyone who's not seen the first one is instantly not going to watch it, which means it then gets penalized by the algorithm. So I either have to craft the whole thing such that it's a standalone bit of content, which I did with the Worms video. I did effectively a sequel to that, and Age of Empires. I've done sequels to like sister videos to those, but they're kind of standalone. But the Diablo one is kind of like, I don't really know, like, other than just like fixing my terrible Vulkan code, I don't really know what there's left to do. So I think it actually struggled to structure it as a video, which I know is a bit of a shame, and I'm kind of a slave to the algorithm to a certain extent because it takes so much time. I do want to, I'm kind of, personally I want to see good returns on the videos. So I'm undecided whether I'm going to do a part 2 on that yet. I would like to finish it off, but in my mind I don't currently know how it would structure that such that it would kind of, have a chance with the other 3 bajillion videos that get uploaded every day to YouTube. No, but the problem is with previously on doesn't work because it's the title and the thumbnail, right? No one's going to click it if it says part 2, right? It doesn't matter if I recap it. But then you also kind of hit on a point there is like, I either then spend the first part of the video recapping it, which is boring to people who've already seen it, or if I don't do that, then it doesn't make any sense. So, but I'm currently working on another video at the moment. It's an old school direct draw Windows game. It's been good fun. It's been a lot of hooking and patching and some like quite deep diving into like how this particular game works. It's been good fun. To appease everyone, it's a project that I will actually could probably classify as finished, which would be nice because I know some of the previous videos have maybe not ended on the most satisfying note, and I do get that. So yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping to get that out. I've got a little bit more work I want to do on it. So I'm hoping to get it out towards the end of the month. Right, okay, where are we at? So I now need to resolve. So what I need to do is get access to these functions that I want. So these will be what was it? Pointer PF function WGL. What am I doing? WGL VS third party OpenGL WGLXT. So I want WGL choose pixel format. Is that going to work for me? I'm just trying to remember how this works with the type defs. Here's an arrow. That'll be the type. So WGL choose pixel format ARB. These are type def function pointers. So this here means that if I use this type, I'm guaranteed to get a function pointer to the correct signature for this function. I agree, it's a little bit gross. But yeah, so what it looks a lot like a Welsh town name, but from the Welsh pixel format proc is a function pointer to a function that returns a ball, takes a HTC, and has all this governs. So I need one of those, and then I need a person wiggle create context. I can't create context attrib arc WGL create context attrib arb. I don't know why I'm saying unknown type. I don't think it can. I think Neovim's not caught up with my header file yet. I probably just need to update the compile commands. And then no, that's the only. Let's start off with those two. So these will declare function pointers, so eight byte slots where I can resolve these function names to. Sure, we can. It doesn't really matter because, yeah, you're right. Let's be diligent. So now that I've drawn these runes in the sand, let's see if we can actually resolve these. So I want like a resolve WGL function, but I want to take the name and the type. The type is different, so I suspect template, obviously, T. Let's take a reference. Let's take a reference to a function pointer, and then the string. No, can't be a string view, and I'll explain why in a minute. Or if I forget, someone point it out. And then I should be able to do const auto address equals WGL get proc address name.cstra, and this is why string view is not guaranteed to be null terminated, so you cannot pass it to any function which expects a null terminated string. So string view is great until you need to pass it to a C API, so we'll just pass it there. Game ensure address could not resolve name. And then function equals, what's that going to be? Reinterpret cast T address, I think. So what was that? WGL. I've already forgotten what they were called now. What they were? There was choose pixel format RB. I've lost myself in the moment. Then I've already forgotten what it was now. Create context attrib AIB, and then the string for that is create. I wonder if when we get reflection, we could refactor this so that we don't need to store the name and the type, store the name as a string separately. That might be cool. Ensure is just throws an exception if a predicate is false with a custom error message. So it's just kind of a nice way of me just like checking something is legit. And then the other one was choose pixel format up. Bleh. What have I done wrong? Just do create content. I suspect an issue with my templating. Why is it? Oh, is this the first time I've... Oh, interesting. This is the first time I've actually called ensure with a variable with templates. Args. Why is it not? It's saying I can't forward them. Could not. No match overload found for forward. Oh, is it just because I've not included the right header file? Oh, hang on. Oh, what an idiot. Got to tell it what to forward it as. Man, 5 characters off and like thousands and thousands of lines of error messages. But the compiler's not wrong. I was. Well, that seems to blend. So let's just see if that works. Oh, exception. Nice. Look at that. Could not resolve WGL context ARB. Why not? Why the heck not? Have I typoed it? Yeah, I didn't want to use assert because asserts get stripped out in debug, and a lot of these I want to always be there. Let me just copy this function name from somewhere else. And then just check this. Sure address. Oh, hang on. Oh. Nope. Okay. Doesn't need an S at the end of functions in the name. As in attribs. Just Google this. Yes, you are. What a great spot. Absolutely outstanding. Okay, right. We found those WGL functions. Nailed it. Okay. What's next? I guess the next thing is resolving the actual. We've got to do the rest of it. Got to do the rest of the OpenGL chuff. Okay, let's do the rest of the OpenGL chuff. We might not get to resolving all the functions tonight, but I think we can at least maybe get a full-blooded OpenGL window ready to go, and then next stream we're ready to start resolving functions, which, you know, that's where the real fun is. I'm going to make sure I call it this time. No, I did actually mean OpenGL. I just... OpenGL is a typo. No, we are not seeing Hello Triangle today. I'm really sorry. At best, we might get a black screen over the white one. At best. Okay, so now we need more formatting. So have to set the again for the. We have to set the pixel formats again. I don't know why you. Again, I'm not we have to set them basically again for OpenGL. I'm not sure why it can't just pick them out of this, but we set them again. But this time, rather than having a struct where they're all packed in, it is an array of integers, null terminated, which specify all the attributes that we want. So auto pixel format attributes equals int. And then we've got WGL draw to window ARB. That is, I think all these are pairs. So you sort of say, here's the thing, then here's the value for it. So that will be, we'll have that as true. WGL, we would like to support OpenGL, and that will be GL true. And then we want WGL double buffer, and that'll be GL true. And then we want WGL acceleration arb, and that will be the full acceleration arb. And then WGL pixel type ARB. This will be WGL type RGBA. ARB, ABCD, EFG, WGL color bits arb, 32, WGL depth bits arb, 24, WGL stencil bits arb 8, and then null terminated. Ah, well done. Yeah, I probably should have copied and pasted those. I'm copying them off of some notes I already have. I guess I could have just copied and pasted those in, but here we are. That's what everyone showed up for. Everyone showed up to watch me just type out WGL runes into the sand. Yeah, got to get that U in there when when no one's looking. I agree. Right. Okay. So auto pixel format equals 0. Auto num format equals uint. I try to use the Windows type specifically when I know they're expecting them. WGL choose pixel format ARB. So this takes the DC which I need to pass in. HDC DC. This takes the pointer, well, an array, but it's auto-k to a pointer of all those attributes. Just check what the docs say about it. Is he going to give me the arguments? No. Okay. Fine. Then I'll just go off my notes. That is a 0. That's 1. That is the pixel format. And then that is the num format. So how many? And then aim ensure that num formats doesn't equal 0. 0u, I guess, for being specific. Could not not choose a pixel format. Okay, fine. So I guess this is setting the WGL specific stuff onto our DC rather. Well, I guess actually, technically, I guess the reason we do this again is because we threw a lot of that information away when we created the dummy window. So now that's why we're setting it again. All this stuff we set up here, we set on the dummy window, which we set away. So now we need to set it on the real window. We can use the actual WGL functions and primitives because we resolved the WGL functions. That's why we're doing it again, but with the W there. I would, if it was me on my code base, I would put the U in color just because that's what I'm just like, it's been ingrained over like however many years of education to do it. But if I worked on a code base where I didn't do it, I would absolutely just do what the rest of the code base does. It's not a hill I would die on. So now I get another pixel format descriptor. And then we want to ensure that the describe pixel format of our DC, our chosen pixel format, the size of PFD and the PFD doesn't equal 0. So this will actually fill, this time it will actually fill in the pixel format descriptor for us now that we've got all this extra information. But could not describe pixel format. The date format is a hill to die on. I still think the best way is year, month, day, because then it sorts lexicographically in the right order, and then there's no arguments. But yeah, year, month, day. But month, day, yeah, I've worked for American companies before, and I could never get my head around month, day, year. I get it wrong every time. Just could not get my head around it. Okay, and then set pixel format, DC, pixel format, PFD, make sure that is equal to true, could not, I seem to be flip-flopping between the phrases could not and failed to. I'm going to change that to be consistent, failed to, C2T space, failed to set pixel format. Yeah, we've got this kind of weird hybrid over in the UK of like we're on the metric system, yet still a bunch of stuff is imperial. So I kind of have like a mismatch like understanding of both. But the one I can't get my head around is Fahrenheit. I've been to America quite a few times. I've worked in America before, and I look at the thermostat on the wall. And I'm like, is that hot? Is that cold? What's going on? I just got no reference point for it. Right, so now we can set the OpenGL attributes. So this is where we actually say, what the OpenGL version we want is. So auto, and this has the same thing. It's an integer array, which is null terminated of the various attributes that we want. So you know what? I'm just gonna copy these from something I've used before. 6, if we can get 4.6. So this just sets the major version, the minor version, and then sort of various bits about profiling and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I think we're nearly there. So now we can get our context, which is the WGL create context arb, and that's DC0 and our GL attributes. Then we want to ensure that context doesn't equal a null pointer. Fail to create context. Fail to create WGL context. And then finally we can do ensure WGL make current DC, and our hooglurk is context, and that is make sure it's true, otherwise we failed to make current context. Nope, absolutely not. Oh, what am I missing? Right. I'm really surprised that doesn't work. That kind of breaks my understanding. It's not like the weird stutter rating where you need it twice, is it? Oh, fine. Okay, maybe for this one I cannot use that. Oh, hang on. Do I need... It's fine. Oh, because can you... Auto-type deduction is weird with arrays. I wonder if it thinks it's decaying to a pointer. Anyway. And you're right, it does not. Why do I not use a standard error phrase and put it in a var? Save me some writing. Never really thought about it. Maybe it's true. I guess I could put failed to, but it's actually not. I don't think it's that much to do it. In fact, to be honest, I kind of like to just read the full error message there because I'm skimming through the code. It's easy for me to see what match up like error messages from the output window to like where the actual code is. Do I store the DC anywhere? Oh, have I not actually got the DC out of the original window? Oh, that's fun. Okay, I think I'm missing that. Hang on, let me just... I need... auto release HTC DC underscore things like that. Then to get the DC before I do this, I need to do DC underscore equals get DC window. Oh, hang on, I've got this somewhere else. That's just written quite a lot of code today. And that's see, I want to capture this, so I can then pass in window underscore. Okay, so I capture the DC, I pass it in there. Is this window double underscore undeclared identifier? Yeah. Oh, where did my code go? Oh, I just not delete that. Oh, it is 10 PM. That is indeed true. Okay. Still builds. What does main look like? So it'll keep calling this over and over again. So can we do GL color? What is it? Hang on. Buffer bit. There's that one. And then swap buffers. DC. I would take a blank window as a success today. Oh, nailed it. Let's have a look at okay, let's, after we've done this, let's do GL clear color, and then we're going to do 0.0f, 0.5f, 1.0f, 1.0f. And gives us a nice azure color, or as azure, but I would probably say azure, cornflower blue, I guess. This, I believe, is the, if anyone did X and A back in the day, this is the default window color. So there you go. We are successfully OpenGLing. We can clear the buffer, and then we can swap it. What, if anyone is interested in what double buffering means and why I needed this? Yes, hello Azure Blue. There's a buffer. There's the contents of a buffer which is actually it's actually the graphics card is actually rendering to your screen. But if it's rendering that, like drawing every pixel, and then you're also writing to it, you can end up with this concept of like a torn writes, where you get tearing. So as it's as it's halfway through rendering it, you're also writing to it. So to get around this, use this concept of double buffering. So there's an actual second buffer that is not backed by the screen, and you render to that. So all the render commands go to this special hidden back buffer, and then swap buffers. What it does is that tells Windows and the hardware and all this to present them to the back, and then your front one becomes the back one. So you're effectively always rendering off screen, and then once all your rendering is done, you put it onto the screen. So then the user sees that, and then you go back to rendering to one off screen. I make one buffer red, the other blue, and swap my frame. I'm not going to do loads of flickering lights. I think that'd be an absolute headache. But we could do static auto b equals 1.0f. Static auto deck inc equals minus 0.01f. Then we can do b plus equals inc, and then we could do if b is less than or equal to 0.0f inc plus inc times equals 1 minus 1.0f or b is greater than or equal to 1.0f, then we'll swap it and then try that. How have I gotten that wrong? That's right, that is not a correct sequence of tokens. I mean, looks the same to me. So keep going. As soon as it's outside of that, times that by -1 to then go back the other way. Yeah, could do sine. I'm annoyed that this isn't, a bit perturbed that this isn't doing what I want it to. Unless the, it might just be. Yeah, it could be that I'm there we go. Nailed it. Yes, because it'd be VSync could be on this, be locked at 60 FPS. So you're right. My delta, which would have been better than Ink actually, was far too small. There you go. Flashing window. We've basically done it. Yeah, RGB looks like my office and my desk. Leave that up there running for a bit. Oh, I think I have a gift. I do. For everyone on YouTube. That is 5 months memberships. I've frozen. No. Yeah, that's gifting 5 memberships to the YouTube channel. So congratulations. It's definitely Nathan, not Nate. I find Nate is not me. A lot of Americans I've met seem to assume that's what I want to be called, but it's absolutely not that. But yeah, congratulations. Hope you enjoy that. Behind the scenes access for early access to videos, all that good stuff. But hopefully, sorry, Mr. Bob Rocks. One day you'll win the lottery. I'm gonna call it there because 2 hours is pretty good. I think we got quite a lot done. So I'm trying to stream this Wednesdays and Sundays. It'll almost certainly be definitely Sundays, but I'm trying to do Wednesdays as well. What we'll do next time is do the horror. That is the OpenGL function resolution. I didn't have to resolve GL clear and GL clear buffer, set clear color, whatever it was, because those are literally from OpenGL 1.0, 1.1, which Windows gives you. Anything beyond that, which is what we want to do, you have to resolve yourself. So what we'll do is we'll go through, resolve those, and then yeah, hopefully Hello Triangle. We might start building out some primitives and doing that. Cool. Anyway, well, thank you very much for coming along. 200 people, which is really fantastic. Thank you all. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying doing this. I hope you're enjoying it too. And I'll catch you in the next one. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening or morning, whatever time it is, and I'll probably see you Sunday.